Hey guys, it's Abby, and today I'm going to do a get ready with me. I'm actually just getting ready to get ready because I spent most of the weekend without makeup on my face, and I don't think I put makeup on my face since the last time I recorded a video, and I don't even remember when that was. So I am going to just sit here and talk to you guys because I want to. My kids are upstairs playing games, and I'm just gonna take this time, drink some coffee, chat with you guys. I've been having a really hard month, and I think that I'm the type of person that does not share much about myself, but I also don't share my feelings very much. I tend to keep them inside, and so I figured I might as well just sit down and just kind of just talk to you guys about stuff, about things, about me, about why I am the way I am. I think it will just show you guys a little bit of a different side of me, maybe be a little bit more vulnerable than I normally am. So let's get started. I do have a mirror over here. I always feel bad because I don't look at the camera. I should put my mirror maybe a little bit more in front of me. Like that. I am having a breakout with psoriasis, but I have an issue with my medication. So my doctor that I've been going to for years, he's my regular physician. I had tried a biologic for my psoriasis, which is a shot for your skin. It was supposed to help with your joints, and it's supposed to help with, you know, like just your overall well-being when you have psoriasis. Because when you have psoriasis, it doesn't just affect your skin, it also affects your body and your joints. And so I tried a biologic and I had an adverse reaction to it. It was really bad. Like, I looked like a burn victim. And I know that sounds dramatic, but it was almost, my skin was almost 83% all over my body. It was, yeah, that's what it's, yeah, that's right, 83%. Yeah, my psoriasis took over 83% of my body, and it was the most painful flare-up I've ever had in my entire life, and it lasted for months. And it was because I put this biologic in my system, and I just had an adverse reaction, and I forget what my doctor told me it was. It's like it's actually a name of some guy who named something like that. But anyway, so after the biologic was out of my system, because you're supposed to like go in for a few shots, like you get one shot, then you go in like 2 weeks later for another shot, and then you go back in 6 times a year or something. Anyway, I talked to my doctor and I was like, I cannot be on a biologic. That was the worst thing. I'm never doing that to myself ever again. So he was sending in my skin medication that I always put on my skin, and he would send in a year at a time. So I could go in every single month and pick up my prescription. Well, in March, he passed away, and I love him. Like, I love my doctor, guys. Like, he is amazing. He's adorable. He wasn't old or anything. He was just, I don't know how he passed away, but I didn't find out that he passed away until the end of July. And I got this letter saying that, like, I can pick up my medical records until the 29th, but it was like the 27th when I got the letter, and it was a weekend or something. I think it was a weekend that I got it, so I don't know the exact date, but by then it was like they were already closing, and my year was up in July, so for my medication. So now I have to find a new doctor, and I wasn't told about it, so now I'm going to be out my medication. So I have a little bit left, and I'm afraid to use it because if I'm all out, then it's going to be horrible. Because once your body becomes used to having once your body's used to having some sort of medication, especially a steroid, it is hell with your body detoxing from it. Let's do my foundation. So, I'm hoping I find another doctor soon that will work with me like my other doctor did, because I felt really lucky that I had a doctor that understood what I needed and why, and I'm hoping I can find another doctor that will work with me like that. So August is a really hard month for me. I start panicking about August and July. In July, so, okay. On August 24th, my sister Heidi was killed in a car accident. It was a one-car accident. Her car flipped over. She wasn't wearing her seatbelt. She was ejected. And she was killed in the car accident. She was still alive when they brought her to the hospital, but she passed away after she got there. There was nothing they could do for her. So every August I start to panic, and it's not like a panic where I feel like, oh my God, like I feel like she passed away all over again, if that makes sense. It's a panic where I think to myself, like, again, I have to like relive that trauma because it was traumatic. The way I found out was traumatic. What happened afterwards was traumatic. Like when Heidi passed away, my whole entire life changed. I changed. Like nothing was ever the same again. So thinking about that constantly, because I don't stop, like I don't ever stop constantly thinking about her, but August is so much more present for me. So it's more of like I think to myself, like, I cannot believe that my sister died. Like, if you've lost someone that you love, and I'm going to try not to like get emotional because I have a really hard time being emotional. That's another thing we'll talk about. I have a hard time being emotional. But like if you had someone that you love, that you were close to, regardless if they're family or not, do you ever just think to yourself, like, you can't believe it happened? Like, it actually happened and you can't believe it happened? Like, I think of that all the time. Like, I cannot believe my sister died. So that's what I go through all August, and I don't know how to stop that from being in my mind, because like I live my life so normally, and I get through every day like a normal day, and meanwhile I had a sister pass away, and I can't believe that my life is just going on. I wish I brought a damn tissue, because I thought that I wouldn't get upset. Just blend them away. Blend the tears away. Like, I just gracious. I don't think I'm gonna be able to get my makeup on. Because I don't talk about this. I don't know. I don't talk about any of this. I have 2 young children. They're not super young, but I don't talk to them about it. I do sometimes, like Anna and I will talk on the phone, and we'll like just talk about some things that have happened to us, and we're both like, I just cannot believe we lived through that. Like, we do talk about stuff like this, but I have a very hard time being emotional or crying or showing people weakness. And I don't know if this is a weakness, but sometimes it feels like it can be a weakness when you show emotion. So I don't really talk much about how I feel inside, if that makes sense. I always say if that makes sense. I'm sure it makes sense. Anyway, so I have a hard time in August and September and July. And I think to myself, like, I cannot believe that, like, I'm just living my life every day normally, and she's just not here. So, and I think a lot has to do with the fact that it was sudden, and I don't know how it would be if it wasn't sudden, because I didn't go through something with a sister that wasn't, like, I haven't gone through another death as close to her as I was as with anybody else, you know what I mean? So, like, it's really hard for me to think that, like, I'm just living my life, having kids, having a beautiful life, and she doesn't get to see it. She doesn't get to be a part of it. She doesn't get to meet my kids. See what I'm doing right now. She doesn't get to see any of that. So that is why I have a hard time in August. And then right after Heidi passed away, 9/11 happened. And, you know, you're grieving and you're just a mess. And then 9/11 happens. And that was just like scary and traumatic. And I don't care if you were in New York or you were in Washington or you were in these places that these planes crashed into. Even if you weren't there, it is still traumatic that we went through that we knew loved ones that went through that. It was still traumatic for all of us to see it and watch it and feel it. And so, and I think it was more traumatic because I had just gone through a death. Like, and I don't think I ever grieved. That's another thing. I don't think I've ever actually grieved over my sister. Because I was new in a relationship with my husband. And we were just moving in with each other. And, so it was like new, and I was like afraid because of how I grew up. I was like afraid that I would lose him. So I focused more on keeping him with me and being with me than focusing on myself because I didn't want to lose him. And so I don't think that I really took the time to grieve. And then on top of it, I numbed myself for months. And I wasn't numbing myself with pills or like drugs. I was numbing myself with, this is going to sound really weird. And I still think to myself now, like, why did I do that? I don't understand why I did it. And I think that it was just because I honestly just wanted to be tired and go to bed and not deal with anything. But I started taking Benadryl, and I would take it throughout the entire day and walk around like a zombie. And I did that for like a year. And then a year after Heidi passed, almost exactly, actually it was 11 months, my sister had a baby. And 3 days after he was born, he passed away. So we had another funeral in the same cemetery right next to my sister. And again, I don't think I grieved because it wasn't about me. You know, like, and it was not about me. It was about my sister and her family and her loss. I did have to tell my niece that her brother passed away. And that was really hard because she was like 4. And telling her was really, really hard because you broke her heart, you know? And, but it wasn't about me. It wasn't about how I felt. It was about how my sister felt at the time. And then I started taking pills and numbed myself for years just to get through every single day of my life because I just felt so sad and lost. But after my nephew passed away, my entire family, including my twin sister, moved out of New Jersey. And no, at first my mom moved, and so did my other sister. Like, all my sisters stopped coming because we all used to, oh God, this is like one of those long stories that nothing will make sense unless I tell you everything. So I'm going to start from the beginning and tell you my life. I am from a family of 7 kids. And before I start this, before I even talk about this, I have a very good relationship with my mom now. And I truly believe that my mom was very young. She had 7 kids by the age of 31. And I believe that she did make mistakes, but I also believe that my mom was going through major problems in her life, depression. I think that in her last relationship where she was married to my stepfather. I believe that he was abusive to her and we did not know. And I don't blame my mom for anything. I did for a while, but I do forgive her. She's a wonderful grandmother and I have a good relationship with her now. So before I even begin talking about all this, I need to make that clear. I am not mad at my mom. I can't even imagine having 7 kids at 31. I had 2 kids by 28 and I was a freaking mess. So I can't even imagine. I really can't imagine. So I need to get that out there. She's not a bad woman. She's a wonderful grandmother, and I am very thankful to have my mom in my life now. And a lot of the reason why I haven't ever talked about this is because I wanted to protect my mom. I don't want her to ever feel like I am talking bad about her, because I don't want to. And I don't want her to feel bad or make her look bad. So, my mom has 7 children. 5 of them have a different father than my twin sister and I. We have 1 brother, and there's 6 girls. So, when I was born, my mom had reconnected with my father. They had been high school sweethearts. And she reconnected with my father, and they got pregnant with my twin sister and I. When my mom was pregnant with me and my sister, they found out my dad had terminal cancer. And when I was seven months old, he passed away. So right from the start of my life, my siblings had a father, and my twin sister and I didn't. And right from the start, that automatically makes you feel less than. It shouldn't, and you should be brought up not feeling that way, but you automatically do. My mom worked 3 jobs, and we were incredibly poor. Like, incredibly poor. And when I was 5 years old, I was coming home from school, and I got off the bus. And when I got home, when I was walking home, I could see my mom's car in the driveway, and I was really excited because my mom was home. I was like super excited my mom was home because she's never home when I get home from school. And when I walked inside, my grandparents were there, and so was Child Protective Services. And my mom, we were told, was taken to the hospital because she was sick. And that began us living with my grandparents. My mom says it was only a year, but I think it was 2. We did see my mom a little bit. We started seeing her more often. It was just my twin sister and I that moved with my grandparents. My other siblings moved in with their dad. So automatically we were separated. We were different. My twin sister and I were different. We didn't have a dad. We didn't have like another parent, you know? So, we lived with my grandparents, and my mom started like picking us up for weekends, and she would take us to Ocean City, and she was dating this guy, and you know, he seemed great and my mom seemed happy, but we were young, you know, like it didn't really matter what we felt because we were young, and we just wanted to be with our mom. So no matter who she was dating or with, we would have been happy for her because we just wanted to be with her. And then one day she showed up and said, "You're moving home with me." So we packed our stuff, and my twin sister and I moved in to a new house, a big mansion on a lake. And the first day I moved in there, I got punished. And I remember I was put on my bed, and I don't remember what I did, but I don't think it was bad. I just think I was excited, and I was just excited to be there. But so we move in, and right from the start, it was very different from anything we were used to. My stepfather was really strict, and he had 2 other kids, and automatically Jackie and I just felt like we were just there because we had to be. My mom had to have us there because we were her kids and we didn't have a father. It's not like we had another parent figure to fight for us. You know what I mean? We did have 2 siblings move back with us, and they were in and out. It wasn't like, no, one was there most of the time, and my other sibling would just come every once in a while. She was like basically at her dad's house most of the time. And moving in with my stepfather was awful. He physically abused us for many years and mentally abused us over and over again. Certain things that stick with you for a really long time. I actually think the mental abuse was worse than the physical abuse, even though the physical abuse was really bad. I'm not going to get into what he did, but it was really bad. But he chose to target me out of everybody because I had always been very sensitive and I had always been a crier. So anything made me cry. My siblings picked on me. I cried. I always cried. I was a crier. They called me Crabby Abby. They made fun of me for my skin, and they knew they could get me for it because, you know, I would cry over it. Like, I had no self-confidence as a child, and I was beaten down over and over again. And my stepfather continued to beat me down emotionally and physically for years. And he knew what he would say to me, I would believe. I wasn't getting good grades in school because, I mean, how can you when your life is like that? I never cared about school from when I was young, but I mean, so one time I brought home a bad report card and he says, he was so mad at me for this bad report card. He screamed at me. He said, "You are killing your mother like you killed your father." And that stuck with me for many years. My stepfather would, when he would punish me or when he was mad at me, he would whisper things into my ear that would be like, your mother is embarrassed by you. You're going to be nothing. You know, nobody loves you or nobody will love you. You're going to be nothing. When I would get in big trouble, they would put me on a bench and they would sit me in the hallway. And I would sit there for the full day. And I would be there from the time I woke up until the time I went to bed. And he would just pass by and like pull my hair and tell me these like horrible things. So I had no self-confidence at all. So what did I do as a child with no self-confidence? I tried to make people love me. All I wanted was people to like me and love me because I didn't have that. I didn't believe that I was loved or that people liked me my whole life. It literally went from grade school until high school, until my 20s, until my 30s, until right now. When I was in 8th grade, my mother decided to send us to boarding school in Connecticut, and we went to a boarding school in Connecticut, and we were there for almost 3 years until I got kicked out. I got kicked out for something stupid. It was a religious Jewish school, and there was a lot of rules that something like me talking to boys or writing letters to boys, it wouldn't matter in public school, but in a religious Jewish school, it did matter. So I got kicked out for that. And when we moved home, my mom was getting divorced. And we moved into a little apartment. And that began some of the best years of all of our lives. Here, my older sister moves in. She was pregnant. She was going to have my niece. And My mom is now not with... My mom is now not with this guy who just was awful to everyone. And my siblings started coming around more, and then we moved into a house, and my mom was working, and she was making something for herself and supporting all of us, and things were just happy. I finished high school, and I would have friends over all the time. I had my best friend Marissa over all the time, and we would just hang out, and it was literally the best time of our lives. When I was 19 is when I met my husband, and our relationship went really quick because I was in love with him very fast. And because I never knew what I never knew what love from a man was, I held on to him, and I didn't want to lose him. So we moved in together, and then my sister Heidi passed away. And it kind of just like broke up our family. Everyone went their own separate ways. And this is why I'm going back to when I was talking about this before. After my nephew passed away, then everybody started leaving New Jersey. My twin sister and I were left in New Jersey. I hate saying left because we were old enough to be by ourselves. I mean, we were living and, we had our own lives. But my mom moved to New York to help my sister. And my mom was, grieving. So, of course, she had to do what she needed to do. And then my twin sister ended up leaving New Jersey as well. So I was here by myself. My whole family left me. And that's when I began to use pills. And I did that for years. And because of the way I was brought up and the way that I felt about myself, I wasn't good enough, nobody loved me, I'm too sensitive, I cry all the time, I began to hold all my feelings in. And I wouldn't be emotional. And if I was, I felt stupid. And so that began this keeping all my emotions in, because I felt dumb showing my emotions. Even when I had Scarlett and Dahlia, when I gave birth, I refused to show anything. Like I didn't want people to know that I was in pain, or I didn't want to show what was happening inside my head, kind of thing. So I just kept it all in, and that's why I say I don't think I ever grieved. And then because we were just messing up so bad and I was addicted to pills, we lost everything. We lost our house, our cars, we lost everything. And I had to start all over. Moved into a little apartment. And so that began my journey to sobriety. And all of this stuff that I went through, everything, death, losing everything, being homeless, because I was homeless. We didn't have a home. We did eventually. We moved into an efficiency apartment, like a hotel. And then we found our little apartment and started over. But during all that, I never showed emotion. Ever. I just kind of went through it. You know what I do is I push it. I push it inside. And I hold it in. And I never deal with it. Ever. And that is so unhealthy. And you should not do that. So now I am learning to be okay with showing emotion. But it's still really hard. So whenever August comes around, I start getting anxious because I know I'm going to start feeling really bad, and I don't like feeling this way. But also, my best friend from high school, her name was Marissa. She's just my best friend, my everything, like literally my everything. She died in the summer too. And this is more of a recent death. And that is just, I miss her so much. That's me in a nutshell, guys. That's how I got to be who I am today. I have a hard time, I think to myself, like, I just can't believe I'm going about my life like normal after losing her. Like, that's how I feel. That's how I feel like for a few months. And I'm trying really hard to just realize that it's okay to mourn and grieve and just deal with it in my own way. But when you're someone who like just doesn't like to show emotion or feel emotion, because I think that's more what it is. I don't like to feel it. It's hard. I mean, when I was going through my addiction and when my whole entire family found out, oh my gosh, it was horrible. It really was. It was horrible when my whole family found out. They treated me like I was just an outcast. And even to this day, I still feel like I have that name tag. Like, I'm the addict of the family. You know? Like, I'm not just Abby. I'm Abby the addict. And that's really hard too. Because it's like, you can never live it down. This eye makeup. This eye makeup's ridiculous. You can never live it down because, you know, you were an addict. The whole family found out. I still go to my sister's cemetery and gravesite where my sister and my nephew are buried there. And I try and go every holiday, after every storm I'm there, because I want to make sure that their stones are okay. And, you know, I don't mind going at all. I don't mind being the one to, I don't mind going. I find a little bit of peace when I go. But I'm the only one in the family that does go. So I have this like feeling of responsibility to make sure that everything's okay there and go there for every holiday so Heidi doesn't feel forgotten, and I don't ever want her to feel forgotten. Anyway, that's why August is so hard for me. And I don't think it will ever get easy. I really don't. I don't think that I will ever just I don't think that it's ever going to be easy for me. I think that it's always going to be just hard because I lost a sister, and she doesn't get to live her life. She doesn't get to wake up in the morning and be with her kids. She doesn't get to wake up at all. And that's really hard for me. I have a hard time thinking about that. I do know that, like, because of how I grew up and because of everything I've gone through, I know that it has made me not only stronger as a person, but a good mom. Like, it's helped me become a good mom. Because I know what not to do and what I needed as a child that I didn't get. So it's helped me give that to my kids. And make sure that they always feel love and that they are wanted. You know, like, you were wanted. I created you because I wanted you. So, it has made me a better mom. Heidi was the only blonde in our family. She had blonde hair, blue eyes, the only one. She stood out. She was beautiful. And she was so nice. She was that big sister that, like, everyone like thinks about. Like, you have that big sister you can go to. You know, that's who she was. She was your big sister. But she was cool. I thought she was so cool. Anyway, I wanted to just talk a little bit. So when you are someone who has grown up like I have, it's kind of ingrained in you that, first of all, you're not good enough. And you just want people to love you so much. So you are willing to accept a lot more than what you should accept from people. And I'm just beginning to realize that I don't have to. First of all, I am okay with who I am. Like, I'm not a bad person. You know, like, I'm learning to love myself and like myself. And I'm also learning that I don't have to accept certain things in my life. Like, I just don't have to. If I was feeling the way I was feeling, if I had the confidence that I have now, when I was younger, my life would be so much different. And I'm okay with how my life is now. I'm okay with where my life took me, if that makes sense. Like, I don't have any regrets. I just know that, you know, like, I'm just learning to love myself, and it's okay who I am. It's taken me a while. I think a lot has to do with my girls. My kids are older, and I want them to have confidence, and I want them to, you know what to accept and what not to accept. And, you know, their biggest role model in their life is their same-sex parent. So I'm trying really hard to, you know, be a good role model for them. So I'm trying. You know, I don't think that they ever would feel that I don't love them or anything like that, but I don't want them ever to. Does that make sense? I want them to be happy and know that they're loved. Have any of you gone through anything like I've gone through? Have you lost a loved one? That's the thing. I always think so many people have had it so much harder than me. So who am I to sit around and complain and be sad when so many other people have gone through so much more traumatic things than I have, and I'm healthy, and I have a roof over my head and food in my kids' stomachs, and like, my kids are healthy. So who am I to complain or hash over hard things I've been through in my life? So I always, like, that's why I don't really bring it up, because I don't want people thinking like, you know what I mean? Like, I know people have gone through harder things than I have. But I do have a really hard time during August. Like, all I really want to do is like curl up in my bed and cry. I won't do it, but that's what I want to do. I went to go visit my sister yesterday. Her grave yesterday. I think I'm going to plant sunflowers there next year. Because my nephew and Heidi are right next to each other. And I think it would be really pretty to have sunflowers blooming around their anniversaries. The eyelashes I'm using are from Noella Lashes. They're so good. They're my favorite. I think I feel a little bit better now that I talked. I mean, I don't think that like I'm gonna all of a sudden be just fine and I won't be sad anymore, but it does feel okay to talk. It also feels okay, like better that I said, like, you know, how I felt. And I wasn't good enough, or like, it sucks feeling like you're not good enough. If I put too much highlighter on my nose, I like to blot it with my Beauty Blender. Same with my highlight. And I like putting my blush on top of my highlight so it looks like it's blended together. I've been watching Love Island. Does anyone else watch it? I do. It's such a good escape from reality, that show. Like, it really is. If you're having a hard time, turn on Love Island. You get to watch other people's love drama on an island, in a house. They're all living together, sleeping with each other. One minute they love you, the next minute they love someone else. And you're like, oh, this is great. Not that it's great that any of them are hurting, but it's great to watch because it's a show. And at the end, it always works out. I mean, well, things work out for them. And someone wins 50 grand, so can't really lose. I say this when I'm recording these videos that I don't know if I'm going to put them out. And this is one of those videos that I don't know if I'll put it out. Number one, because I don't want my mom to ever be upset that I shared certain things with the world. I don't want her to be upset. I don't want her to think that I was talking badly about her, because as of right now, I just don't want her to think like that. But it is my story, and I should be able to share my story because it's mine, you know? But I don't want her to ever feel like I am talking shit on her, because she is my mom and I do love her. And I do forgive the things that I've gone through. And she has gone through an awful lot herself. You know, losing a kid is not easy, and I understand. I have a big blotch of blush on me. Like, I understand when you're young and you're a mom and you are going to make mistakes. Even when you're older and you're a mom, you're going to make mistakes. That's what happens. You make mistakes as a mom. Nobody is perfect. And I don't know what was going on with her in that relationship for me to sit there and be like, you're bad. You know what I mean? I'm sure it was hard for her. And I'm sure that she was having her own problems. So it's one of the reasons why I haven't shared anything with you guys about my childhood or anything, because I am always afraid that I will hurt her, and I don't want to hurt her. I also don't want to feel like I have to be quiet because, like, I can't share certain things about myself. Because I have to protect someone, you know, like, anyway, I'm going to stop talking about it. Get over it, Abby. Stop it. Stop talking. You're making it worse. All right, so I'm just going to finish off my blush. I think I put a little bit too much on, so I'm going to illuminate it. And that is it. Did I miss any steps? I really don't remember. I was really nervous to do this video. Really, really nervous. I used the Raw Beauty Christian ColourPop palette today. This one. It's a really good everyday look. Look at my hair right there. I cut it by accident with eyelash scissors. I cut it and now it just sticks up. But all right, guys, thank you so much for watching this video with me. Thanks for just listening to me and hanging out with me. I'm sorry it was a downer. More happy videos to come. And comment down below how you guys deal with things. How are you when you go through trauma or a death? Let me know. I'll be crying for the rest of the month. I can't help it. I just want Heidi to be remembered and not forgotten. And I want to picture her up in the heavens above, if hopefully there are, living a happy life and not missing out on anything. I love you guys so much. Thanks for hanging out with me. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.